Welcome back to Cinemation Movie Recaps. Today, I show you the movie Tomb Raider from 2018. Beware of spoilers. The film begins with the voice of Lord Richard Croft, who tells the legend of an ancient ruler named Himiko. The story goes that she had power over life and death, and one touch from her was enough to kill anyone. Her generals overthrew her and buried her body on Yamatai Island to prevent evil from spreading. Richard plans to learn more about Himiko's secrets, but he is afraid to leave his daughter behind. We jump to the present, where Lara Croft is in a boxing gym somewhere in London, England. She tries her best against her opponent, but eventually has to give up. Later, Lara learns from the gym's owner that she is behind on her payments, and he can no longer let her show up without paying. Lara then goes with some friends to another location where she is challenged to a fox hunt. Lara is to carry a fox tail on the back of her bike while a team of bikers chases her. Lara rides through the streets, narrowly avoiding the bikers until she sees a man she thinks is Richard on the road. The latter distracts her and gets her to drive into a police car, which leads to her arrest. Lara is released on bail by her former guardian and her father's business partner, Anna Miller. She informs Lara that her father's shares in the company will be sold if Lara does not claim them herself. Lara has spent the last 7 years waiting and hoping for Richard to return home, but everyone believes he is dead. In the morning, Lara goes to her father's company to claim her inheritance, where she finds a puzzle box she played with as a child. Inside, she finds a key from Richard and a message telling her to go to the family tomb. Lara opens her parents' tomb and finds a room full of her father's research. She finds a video camera with a message from Richard describing his search for Himiko's grave and the story of their legend. He asks Lara to destroy all his research because a company called Trinity is after his work and could pose a threat to the world if they find Himiko's tomb. Lara goes to a pawn shop to get money for an amulet that belonged to Richard. At first, she is only offered £10,000. When she tries to get more, the greedy shopkeeper Max lowers the offer to £8,000. Lara then dumps coffee into his crotch because he is an idiot. Lara travels to Hong Kong to find a ship captain named Lu Ren. When she arrives at the port, her bag is stolen by 3 street punks. Lara catches up with them and manages to get her bag back, but one of the hoodlums tries to take it from her again with a knife. Lara manages to get to Lu Ren's boat, where the drunken captain chases the punks away with a gun. Lara learns that her father went off with Lu Ren's father, and they both disappeared. She asks that they sail to Yamatai to find out what happened to them, and gives him the money she collected as payment. On the journey to the island, the two get caught in a violent storm. Knowing that the ship will not survive, Lara and Lu abandon ship and try to get into a lifeboat, but Lara ends up washed up on an island, where she is found unconscious by a mercenary. Lara wakes up and meets a man named Matthias Vogel. He is leading an expedition for Trinity to find Himiko's grave and cannot return home to his family until he completes his search. Vogel claims to have killed Richard and then forces Lara and Lu to work for him and his mercenaries to find the tomb. Along with a whole group of workers, they are forced to do hard labor, and when one man is left behind due to exhaustion, Vogel shoots him. Lu gives Lara a chance to escape when he knocks down one of the mercenaries. The mercenaries pursue Lara, who falls into the river and is almost swept over the falls. However, she corrects herself with the help of a wrecked plane hanging over the falls. The plane begins to break apart when Lara finds a parachute and manages to pull it as she plummets. She crashes into the forest and is badly injured when something gets stuck in her abdomen. Vogel sends one of his mercenaries to look for Lara, as they have found the location of the tomb but still need someone to open it for them. The mercenary finds Lara, but after a fight she kills him and is ashamed of what she did. Then she sees a mysterious figure in the forest and follows him to his hiding place. To her surprise, it is Richard, who is very much alive. Although at first he thinks Lara is a hallucination, he knows she is, and they reunite in tears. Richard mends her wound and is upset that Lara did not burn his research as he had requested, and that Trinity is now closer to Himiko. Despite his refusal to fight back, Lara takes a bow and some arrows and makes her way back to the mercenary camp. Lara uses the bow and arrows against Vogel's goons before reaching Vogel himself. She helps Lu Ren and the other workers escape, and Richard eventually follows her to the grave. Before Lara can kill Vogel, he turns his gun on Richard. Although Richard asks Lara to kill Vogel, she cannot bring herself to do so because she is concerned for Richard's safety. Lara is then forced to solve the riddle and open the tomb. Vogel leads a team of his men, as well as Lara and Richard, into the tomb. They encounter several traps that slow the group down, including another riddle that Lara must solve before they all fall to their deaths. Finally, they find Himiko's coffin and open it, where her body lies decomposing quickly. The men try to lift her body, but one of the mercenaries is infected with her curse and decays quickly. He shoots several of the men in a fit of rage before Vogel puts him out of his misery. The Crofts realize that Himiko did not use her powers for evil purposes, but volunteered to be buried to prevent the disease she was suffering from spreading to the public. Vogel cuts off Himiko's finger and places it in a bag to be returned. Richard is then attacked by one of Vogel's infected soldiers, and although he manages to kill him, Richard touches his face and is now dying from the infection. He decides to destroy the tomb with bombs to prevent the spread of the disease. He says goodbye to Lara one last time before she leaves to find Vogel. Lara reaches Vogel before he crosses the bridge back into the tomb. They begin to fight just as Richard detonates the explosives and the tomb begins to explode. Lara takes the finger bag from Vogel's pocket and stuffs it down his throat. The infection in his body spreads, and Lara pushes him into an abyss. She jumps to the other side and manages to get back to the entrance of the tomb, but gets trapped under the rubble. Luckily, Lu Ren is nearby and helps her out. They then see a Trinity helicopter land, and they force the men inside to take her and the workers home. Upon her return to London, Lara claims her inheritance in full. She looks at all the companies owned by her father, including Trinity's parent company. She discovers that Anna is the head of that company and has been working directly with Vogel the entire time. Lara decides to continue her father's work and take down the bad guys. In the last scene, Lara returns to the pawn shop where she buys two twin pistols.